that was when I got saved. I'm 17 years old. Didn't really, like, I always hated school. I don't ever remember enjoying being in school. Long days, you know, being in school all day and then going straight to work afterwards. And there was a time period where I got to do half days. Towards the end of my senior year, we did, you know, a half day at school, and the rest, you know, I got off and then I went to work. That nurse's aid money was good to us, though. You know, we was pulling them double shifts and making all that extra money. We was really enjoying it. The money part, I just wanted something different. I wanted something fun. I wanted to go to different places. I wanted to leave the country. Yeah, I was like talking to my sister about what to do, and she's like, okay, you know, why don't you try the military? So go to the Navy and everything. Also being young and newly saved, you know, trying to learn God, trying to walk with God, but still kind of like that, oh, I ain't going that far. Y'all want me to come to a Bible study? I'm not doing all of that. Like, it requires all of this, so I'm just living. So the first place that I worked at, there was some physical abuse done to a couple of guys by the people that we worked for. And, you know, it was just a whole bunch of craziness. It was a lot of gossip. It was so bad, so bad. And mind you, like, I'm in that, like, I'm saved, I'm kind of know God, but I don't really. And so with all the craziness going on at that place, it was just so bad that I prayed one night and I said, and mind you, I had not ever really heard God speaking to me seriously outside of, you know, when he was like really leading me to him. And I didn't realize that was what it was until, you know, hindsight is 2020. But I prayed and I was just like, I don't even know if I believed anything was going to come from this prayer, but I'm like, God, this cannot be what you have for me. And I said, you know, if it is God, I will start to really serve you for real. You know, I'll just deal with it. And if it's not God, show me, you know, but if it is, I will still serve you and start doing right and living right. Because I was, you know, not living right or doing right. I was still just doing whatever. So I can't remember if it was like a week or 2 weeks after that prayer. And mind you, the abuse, the physical abuse, a whole investigation, all that stuff had already happened. Of course, nothing came from it. Crazy. And these people still was just having to work with their, you know, who they accused, with the abusers, the accused abusers, whatever you want to call it, alleged offender. God cover in the name of Jesus, I thank you. But it was crazy. So they are bosses. They pulled us up, all of us, and they're like, hey, there's this new place, this new job that the Navy's building, and they're pulling people from all over the fleet. 3 people from here, and we don't know who's going yet. If anyone wants to volunteer, let us know. And it was like, you know, the cartoons or whatever back in the day, the like light bulb went off. And I was like, God, is this you? Like, it was like, hold on. So mind you, this does not happen. This is not a thing that you don't, wherever you work at, especially, it was a ship, especially if you're on a ship, if you're on a seagoing, out to sea command job, you are not going anywhere anytime soon, especially because I was new there. So I was like, God, is this you? And I just raised my hand. It's like, I volunteer. And they all looked like, and said my name, my maiden name back then. And I was like, yeah, like, and so, long story short, the people who left were me and unfortunately, the 2 that had been abused. I remember, and I say this because some things foreshadow the calling of God that I didn't even realize. Now, this is a place, all types of like insane control. Like, I want to have control over your life. Like, I needed to go to the doctor and And I made it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I need to go to the doctor. Like, cause you can't just go to the doctor. You can't be sick. You have to see their, like medical and everything to say whether or not you're sick or whether or not you need a day off because you're sick. But I was just like, I need to go to the doctor, which wasn't on this shit. And I needed to schedule an appointment for it. And they asked me like, why? Like, why did I need to go to the doctor? And like actually made me like tell them yeah, like they wanted to know like my, a certain level of what my symptoms or my issues were. And it's like, this is crazy. Like, this is insane, that level of control. And so, so things like that was happening. Then, telling you who you can and can't hang out with, who you can and can't be friends with because they consider somebody a bad influence. So stuff like that. But it got so bad one time, just like the gossip, the being messy, the craziness, where there was someone with a very serious and really kind of like you don't want people to know about this kind of disease. And someone had this disease, and it was a friend of mine on that at that job. And I remember I knew only because they told me personally. Well, they told, another person that I guess was supposed to be a friend, and that person in front of me, this is how I knew. That person tells the entire group of us, like, yeah, man, they got such and such, and I'm just sitting there like, okay, I'm done. Now, mind you, there was a lot, even stuff, putting my name into things or, discussions about my situation and everything. Like things that, it's like, okay, if you all are planning to do something with me, let me know. But you're talking to other people about it, but you're not telling me. Like, and it wasn't people that was like people that needed to know anything. So you have the messiness of stuff like that. And then this, and I remember that person talking about that person's disease, that was like the last straw for me, and it blew me up. Now, my natural personality, I'm just very to myself. I'm not extremely social, and I just like to have peace. And my demeanor is kind of like timid. And so, yeah, so that's just like naturally kind of how I am and how I'm seen, right? Especially respect. I try to be very respectful. My respect that I, render also comes off as timidity, when it's like that's how I reflect my respect, is making sure that I'm being respectful. I don't know how to explain it, but that's just how I see it. Now, that's how I am. That's how I'm seen. And mind you, this is me at like, I don't know, I guess I was about 18 or 19 at this point. Probably 8. I was still 18 years old. So that was the last straw for me. And I just remember I flipped out and and I just didn't have anything in me. Like, it was like no respect, no I don't care factor. What y'all are doing and how y'all are acting is wrong. And I was so done with it. It was just so wrong. And I was just going off, and it caused this like whole thing within where I worked. And we all had to get together, and they was addressing it. And it's so hilarious. Like, because I don't remember exactly how I was acting or what I was saying, because I was going off. I was hot. But you don't talk about someone's disease. That to me is beyond. And I've witnessed that a few times in the military, and it's disgusting. And that kind of stuff really angers me. But I was hot. And it was funny to me, like, when I look back on it, because the boss, the one who you putting your hands on people that are not fighting you back, you're not fighting people having a fair fight, right? You putting your hands on somebody, they didn't touch you, stop putting your hands on them. Now, this boss, we're all talking about it and talking about the issue and what I got a problem with and all of this stuff. And he's like saying my maiden name. Nobody's scared of you. And I'm sitting there like, and that's when I realized like, oh, I must really like, they must really can see like how hot I am. Like for him to feel like he need to say nobody's scared of you. I'm like, I don't think nobody's scared of me. I don't expect anybody to be scared of me. And this is my thing. You out here beating up grown men. Like, I'm not thinking about, are you scared of me? That's not the intent. But what it is y'all doing wrong, and it's disgusting. And yeah, like, we not about to keep pretending that you all are not doing what you're doing. And so, yeah, that was the whole thing. But some issues got exposed. Some people got exposed. And yeah, I left. And I was very happy to leave. The next place that I get to, it was just so much better on all accounts. And let me tell you about God. I get there, the kind of sort of like boss there when I got there. And people don't do this in the military. He's talking to us, and that's my prior pastor. His name is Apostle Roderick Maupin. And so he was in charge at that time. And he's talking to me and one of the other guys that left with me and just like checking us in. And he's like, I want you to know that what y'all experienced at the last place is not like that here. We're not about that. And then he says, so do you all like go to church or anything? And I'm like, well, I'm looking for one. Because remember, I told God, like, okay, God, like, you know, I'm all in. And he says, well, I'm a pastor. And it was like, okay, God, okay, this I see. And he told me he was a pastor, and he and his family, you know, they were starting a church, and they had, I forget what all he told me. But so long story short, I started going to his ministry, and it was literally like they had just started. I think it was the family. I can't remember if there was another person, but it was like the family and then myself. And yeah, I was with them for about 12, 13 years. They really were my spiritual parents, my son's godparents, and by proxy, pretty much kind of sort of like my daughter's godparents as well. But definitely like by name designation, they're my son's godparents, my spiritual parents. I mean, I've seen a lot there, learned a lot there. Everything that I know, how I've been built up as a believer was from Apostle Roderick Maupin and Prophetess Felicia Maupin. You know, doing things like, you know, we always had Bible study, prayer service. We would have shut-ins, you know, where you having like, I don't remember how long, but you know, from 3 p.m. or 1 p.m. to midnight prayer, and y'all just praying and laid out before God, and then you get tired and everybody dragging and still trying to pray and round back up. You know, we volunteering at, you know, a homeless shelter where, well, not a shelter, but they feed the homeless and the hungry rather. And so you go there, but they got to sit through the word, right? And so doing all of that, being brought up, like really studying the word, really in the word, picking it apart, hermeneutics, just everything, learning. It was beautiful. Many years of study, many years of discipline, even church etiquette, and just all of that. Being on the praise and worship team, even though I can't sing. Being the praise and worship, I guess you would call it the leader, even though I can't sing for a little while. Running Bible studies, you know, putting together programs, like just doing all of these different things and really being before God, but myself really seeking God and wanting to do his will and wanting to serve. And most of our church was a lot of military, all kinds of different ranks coming in and out. So learning on the other side a lot about the military as well. Spiritual father, apostle, you know, Roderick Maupin, He was a E7 when I first met him, and very shortly after became an E8. So the military enlisted rank goes to E9. So, I'm coming in early in my career. I'm being directly mentored, and guided, not only in the ministry, not only before God in church, but within my job, within the military service that I'm in, by someone who's been doing it and knows, right? So, yeah, that's pretty much what I came out of. So live that, experience that. I think I was licensed through Apostle Moppin, and I want to say 2014. When I got married throughout all of this time. In 2012 I got married, had my 2 babies, and serving in the military. The majority, I'll say the majority, it's an atmosphere where sometimes there's a lot of everybody is in competition with everybody, and everybody has to one up, and everybody has to prove the other person wrong. I often kind of joke, it's like, y'all trying to fight each other, like, not the enemy. Like, why are we fighting each other? We're supposed to be here to work together to get the job done. If we have issues, we are here to work together to resolve the issue to benefit the work, the service. Because for me, the way I see it with the military, our job is completely about people. It's completely about, protecting, defending our nation. What's a nation? It's people. Who cares about anything but the people? You don't have a government. You don't have a country. You don't have anything without the people. All it is a group of people. That's what a society is. And so my thoughts are, if you're doing something within the service, right? If you're doing something directly against another service member accomplishing their job, like getting their job done, you are working against like the whole point of why we do what we gotta do. Like, if they have a job to do, you should want them to get their job done, because their job is the same as your job. It all leads to being able to successfully defend and protect this nation. And so I always had a hard time understanding, like, why are we so in competition? Why are we doing underhanded stuff to each other? Why are we trying to ruin each other's careers? I can't understand that. It makes no sense to me. What they used to say, like, we all gonna eat. Like, I want everybody to eat. That's the whole reason we here, so we all can eat. But a lot of people don't see it that way in the service. So, it's just never been me. Once I got married, I always wanted to get out, and I just wanted to stay home and take care of my babies. I still do. And so remember, I said I've come from being directly guided by someone high up and knew what it took to get to that level. This is at the beginning of my career. So remember, I said you go up to E9, E1 to E9. So I met this person as a E3. And so, I've had all the instruction, the tips, you need to do this, and this. Yeah, I had all of that. Being completely set up for success to just keep going and keep going. But it was never me. It still ain't me. But God is good. I am here because this is where God wants me to be. Because there's work that I've been able to see more and more over the years that He has me doing in the service. So every time a contract would be nearing its end, I'm like, God, I gotta go. I want to be done. I'm talking to my husband. I'm like, can I get out? And so finally, there was one time where my husband was like, okay, you can go ahead and get out. And he said, but we gonna have to move. What? Where I'm going? I love San Diego. I'm not trying to leave San Diego. I didn't say that to my husband. I didn't talk to him like that. But that's my mind. And it was almost like God is gonna really make me walk this thing out. And yeah, So that one time, yep, where it was like, all right, we had been doing great with our finances. We already had our house here in San Diego. We, had positioned our finances, paying things off. We were almost debt free. We didn't even have car notes at that time. We had funds set up for the kids, all of that. And I'm like, yeah, like he said, I can get out. I think I'm going to get out. And then it was like the reality, like I have to go with what God says. And that's how it's always going to be. I'm a pretty easygoing person. I work with people. I'm very flexible. I am a prior people pleaser, but one thing that I never really gave into, no matter how much people pleasing or whatever you want to call it that I would do, if I knew for sure that God was leading me a certain way or telling me to do something, it didn't matter what anybody said. And that's 100% like I'm always gonna go with God. So God started really dealing with me and I knew it. It was like, okay. And then he hit me with the thing that was like even if my flesh wanted to just do what I wanted to do and get out, it made it to where it's not gonna be pretty and you're not gonna enjoy it. Because my husband said, we got to move. And I was like, that's not happening. So, yeah. So, I stay in. And then I end up having to leave anyway. And remember, I said the only thing I've ever wanted was to be with my children. I just wanted to be stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife, taking care of my family. And God sends me to Connecticut. And I go without my family. And this was basically, I went and then COVID-19 happened. And so that was the hardest time for me ever, was during COVID-19. I was alone in a barracks room most of the time by myself. Can't go nowhere because everything is shut down and, pandemic, all of that's going on. And I'm not with my family. Very, very, very difficult. I'm a bit upset with God because it's like, God, you making me stay in the service. I don't want to be here. It's not me. I don't fit with, and I don't mean this in a derogatory or bad way, if it could be taken that way, but I don't fit with these people. That's how I always saw it. I don't fit with these people. That's how I saw myself in the military. I don't fit with military people. So, again, remember, I'm not a naturally structured person. I'm not a naturally super disciplined person. I love to be free and I love to have peace. So, yeah, I just felt like I don't fit with this environment. I don't fit with these people. And I just want to be with my family. That's the only thing that I care about. And so there's, kind of like the frustration with God. And like, I don't even, obviously I love God. I'm never going to walk away from God. That's one thing. Like, it's just not going to happen. So even when I'm like feeling some kind of way, I'm still before God about the fact that I feel some kind of way to God. And that was a lot of time there until COVID-19 start letting up. And my last couple of months that I lived there, I brought my kids out there to be with me. And that was, that made it more bearable, just those last like few months. Now, before that, here's one thing that I want to say, because it even, issues within my marriage, because it's like, I'm just unhappy, complaining, whatever, like all the time, because I go from like, I really am miserable and hate being in the military, but this is what God is having me to do. And then not only that, like now moving on, it's like, really, why am I here, God? Because the only thing in life that matters to me is this family, and this is where you have me away from them in the service that I don't want to be in. And so it's like, before God, why would you do this? Why would you send me here? And then, so in marriage, that causes the issues, because you get tired of hearing it, right? Of dealing with it. And one thing with my husband is the opposite, pretty opposite of me. He's not, he is compassionate in a different way. He is not like you don't get chances with him. You barely get one chance with him. And that one chance is him being suspicious, watching you like, yeah, like I'm watching you anyway. Like, we cool. Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. I'm watching you. That's, my husband. He don't play. And so, he's I always say he's kind of a hard man. He's a man's man. And so a lot of stuff is just, yeah, you take it on the chin, and we sacrificing. That's how he felt about a lot of things. And so there was always this is a sacrifice. This is a sacrifice. You're gonna get to retire. You're gonna still be young. Then we'll all be together, and you won't have to work again. It's a sacrifice. So understandable, right? Sounds like I'm just like horrible for not understanding that. So now I'm going to give you the story of why I am the way I am.